Ladies and gentlemen, hi. I am Dr. Tiffany M. Lloyd, but you can call me Dr. Tiff. I am the host of Jesus and Justice with Dr. Tiff. My show unpacks societal issues aligning with the teachings of Jesus Christ. In the words of the late Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., our lives begin to end the day we become silent about things that matter. And remember, yes, I'm advocating for you. I'm speaking for you, and I'm fighting with you. Jesus and Justice with Dr. Tiff. Ladies and gentlemen, hi, and welcome to Jesus and Justice with Dr. Tiff. I am your host, Dr. Tiffany M. Lloyd. Of course, you can call me Dr. Tiff. This is the day that the Lord has made, and let us rejoice and be glad in it. Come on in. From around the world, we have an amazing show today. If you are watching me on the V Network TV, hello to you. If you are watching me on Facebook Live, hello, Facebookers. Make sure that you follow me at Dr. Tiffany M. Lloyd, and make sure that you type in the comment section where you're watching me from, and please do a form of ministry and like and share. If you're watching me on YouTube, hello YouTubers, make sure that you subscribe to my YouTube channel at Jesus and Justice with Dr. Tiff, and make sure that you follow me on Instagram at tiffany.m.lloyd. What an amazing show that we have today. But before we do anything, you already know what we do. That's right, we always have a word of prayer. God our Father, thank you for all of your wonderful blessings. God, thank you for giving us the gift of life. Thank you for giving us another chance. Thank you, Father, for blessing us with your Son, Jesus, that sits at your right hand and intercedes for us every single day. Thank you for your Son, Jesus, that went to the cross to die for our sins, but death couldn't hold him. On the third day, he got up with all power in his hands. God, thank you for Jesus and Justice with Dr. Tiff. Bless it only like you can. Thank you for every viewer, every listener, for every subscriber, God. We pray, God, that you bless everyone that is under the sound of my voice. Bless them in a mighty way and enlarge their territory in the name of Jesus. I ask you, Father, that you bless my guest today. I pray that you anoint every word that is said, and let it be a blessing to your kingdom. Let it be a blessing to your people, and let someone be touched and inspired. And God, that this interview, God, will invoke change in the name of Jesus. Now, God, we decrease so that you can increase. Have your way right now in the mighty name of Jesus. Forgive us for our sins. Have mercy on our soul. We ask these blessings in your Son, Jesus' name we pray. We love you, Lord. Amen. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we are so happy to welcome back Judge Andrea Martin to the show. Now, last time Judge Martin shared her story with us. Just take a look.
Well, the reason I finally decided to start telling more people about what's happened in my marriage is because I have a divorce decree. I have been spoken to my ex-husband since September 2022. And he still, even with the divorce decree that has a restraining order where he's not supposed to contact me, he's not supposed to communicate with me, he's still doing it. And it's been going on since we separated, but now it's increasing. He sent me a message Monday morning talking about what he wanted us to do together, because it's a Christian show, in a marital way. And, you know, he's told me things that he wants me to do to him physically, and just sending me all these random things, which makes me afraid because of what I've gone through, and especially considering I haven't said a word to this man.
So tell us about the journey to healing. Somebody out there may be going through a breakup or may have been in domestic violence, but they don't know where to start with this journey of healing.
Okay, so it was ugly. I have to tell you the truth, it was ugly because I was so broken down and felt that he was the sun. Like I said, these lights were the sun. He was the sun. I was wanting that, even though I knew it was bad. Even when we separated and he moved out, I was still wanting to try to make it work.
Really?
I was still reaching out to him saying, you know, counseling could help, because I said, you know, you get some counseling for your anger, your violence, your drug and your alcohol, all these things, we could meet somewhere and make it work. I was crying and begging, saying, you know, let's make it work. I'm willing to do the work if you're willing to do the work. And he would still torment me because I was still on the hook. He would still send me messages threatening and calling me out my name and um, accusing me of all kinds of things. And so it took me a while to realize I had to silence that because he was in my head. And once I silenced that, that's when the healing really started. But it was hard. It was ugly. I had to get a psychiatrist. I had to go through individual and group therapy. I couldn't eat. I couldn't sleep. My whole life was in turmoil. But once that silenced those voices, his voice is like the scales came off my eyes, and all of a sudden the sky was bluer, music was prettier. But I had to relearn things because for all those 4 years, all the things that I enjoyed to do before him, we didn't do once he told me he had me. So I had to realize, because the therapist's like, well, what do you like to do? I don't know. I had to figure out the things I like to do because what we were doing was what he wanted to do. What do you like to eat? I don't know. I cooked what he wanted to eat, and that's what we all ate. So I had to relearn those things. And the therapist was really good. She was a Black lady. She told me, all in all, you need to give yourself grace because I think I was so hard on myself because once I realized that I was in this and what it was, and I started feeling angry with myself that I allowed myself to be a victim. And so she would have me do things like take long bubble baths, light candles, set a scene to make it peaceful in my house. I couldn't have plants when he was in me. He didn't like that type of thing. So I started buying plants. I had hundreds of plants in my house. Couldn't walk anywhere. My son's like, we don't have room for another plant. But those things made me happy. Getting back in things I like, being in nature. He didn't like being outside. He did when we were dating me. But I love being outside in nature. I had to get back to things and rediscover who I am so that way I could continue on that journey. And the journey to healing is not a straight line. Because sometimes I'd go straight, but then I'd go backwards. I'd fall backwards. But I know where I wanted to be. I didn't want to be like the woman who went back and ended up dead.
Martin, how are you, Judge?
I'm wonderful. So happy to be here with you
I am
again.
so happy to have you. We already having a great time. So, Judge, let's get straight to it. The last time you were here, you blessed so many women. I mean, it was probably one of the highest viewing shows. Fast forward now, this was your story last year. Any new developments since that story?
Well, and I appreciate you for having me on so I could tell my
Absolutely.
story because up until that time I had been silent because I was embarrassed. Embarrassed that I was in that situation because I made a choice to love someone who was toxic. But for the fact that I hadn't spoken to him since I divorced him, he was still harassing me, still, I have a restraining order. He's not supposed to have any contact with me. And so publicly, he would say it was me and he would just dog me publicly. But in private, he was in my DMs, he was emailing all these things.
Of course.
And so it got to the point where it was just so stressful because every time he reached out, I would have to let my attorneys know. I'd have to let my son know just in case he showed up because would see him from time to time where I would live. And so finally, my attorneys were like, we've been telling you this for a year to file a criminal complaint. So I went ahead and filed charges. And I mean, I hate the idea that I had to do it, but I needed to do that for my peace. So since I filed the charges, he's left me alone.
Oh,
So I have my
good.
peace. I'm
Oh,
so happy
good.
about it. So I'm waiting. I have to go to court, of course, but I'm happy to have my peace. And then I'm happy that my son has peace because, as you know, boys are protective of their mothers.
Absolutely.
And my son, my whole goal is trying to keep him out of jail because he still will randomly just say out of the blue, he just hopes that he can just run up on that man.
Oh,
And he talks
wow.
about what he would do to him if he does. So that part of my life has shifted now. And I agree. People reached out to me and were happy that I told my story because this happens to women from all walks of life because you fall in love. And it's not something that happens you say I do and all of a sudden they're beating you up.
Right.
It's a process where they beat you down slowly and slowly and slowly because as a woman you want to, I mean, in the Bible it talks about how the men were talking about in the Old Testament about how women want their husbands' love and they want their husbands' support. So the husbands would know that the women are going to do everything they can to make sure that that man is happy. And so when you love someone, you want them to be happy and you keep trying to perform for them to make them happy. And as you do that in a toxic relationship, they take advantage of that. It's never, the goal is here, and then you think you're there, then they move it here, and they move it here, and move it here. So before, it's like you're tap dancing
Absolutely.
so much that you're always on edge. It was so hard not knowing what to expect in my own house that I paid the
Right.
mortgage for, not knowing if I smiled the wrong way, if it's going to be something, if I used the wrong word that he didn't understand, that it was something messing with his ego. It was always walking on eggshells. And so it's a process that's used to get you to the point where you're under someone's thumb and your life is in danger. And so it was helpful to talk about that. And I still talk about it because it does help
Yeah.
women. Even when I'm on the bench and women and men come before me who were victims of domestic violence. And, when they're victims of domestic violence, I don't want to remove their children because that's making them another victim. But in circumstances where their lives are in danger and their children's lives are in danger, I have to. But I tell them, I speak to them and I say, I understand because, and I start telling my story and how that I was caught. And how if a stranger is going to hurt you, you're going to immediately call the police and
Yeah.
get away from that. But if someone that you love is hurting you, you want to protect them. And you protect the lie, you protect the image that's public. And so I tell them, I understand that. And it's hard to break those trauma bonds because it's like a cycle of the endorphins where it's happy and you're living on that sunshine and that warmth and it's wonderful, and then they pull it away and you're at this ugly part, but then you get back to the making up part, and it's just a continuous cycle that gets worse and worse and worse. So I talk about that, and I hope that it's helping the people who come for me. I know it definitely helped the people who watch the interview.
Absolutely. Well, what I found fascinating with there were so many men that were commenting. And men that was just saying, I can't believe as beautiful she is. And, he was crazy. I mean, there were men that were rallying behind you and supporting you. But one thing that a lot of people who probably have never been in domestic violence or don't understand, they always ask this question, and I cringe when they ask this question, well, why did you stay so long? I don't think a person can really answer that question. Do you think that someone said to me that sometimes it starts with our relationships with our father or having that male role in our life that shapes every relationship after that? Do you think that's true?
I think it can be, but it can't be just any type of male, because I think if you have a healthy male or even mine didn't, my childhood was not ideal. And so things were set up to where I was already trying to figure out how to get love by performing, by being the good girl, by doing all these things to get love and attention. And so when you were taught at a young age that your worth is based on how you perform or what you do for somebody, then that affects as you continue to grow up. So I think it could be because of male or female or whomever. It depends on whether that person is toxic or healthy. Because I think a woman who's raised with a child that's raised with a single mother or a single father could grow up healthy if that parent is healthy. So I don't think it's necessarily whether there's a man in the home or not. I think it's whether that parent is healthy.
Absolutely.
Because we talk about broken homes and the brokenness is in the parent who hasn't healed themselves from trauma. Because as us in the Black community, we have so much trauma that we don't deal with.
Yeah.
We brush it under the rug. We're going to go pray about it. And my pastor says, we can pray, but we need to have the professional generational curse. It's a curse because we don't break those bonds.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's so powerful because you can be raised in a household with your mom and your dad and can have a close relationship with both parents and still go to a domestic violence situation.
True.
I think it all starts also, like you said, in addition to what you say, I also think it's with self-love because when a person can tell that you have low self-esteem, they can smell it a mile away and all they got to do is just be nice to you and tell you what you want to hear.
There you go.
And I can look in the camera and say, I've been guilty of that. that,
Mhm.
of not having the highest self-esteem,
Mhm.
because when I have high self-esteem, I entertained anybody.
Yes.
And it really made my day when a man would tell me
Mhm.
how beautiful I
Mhm.
was. But
Mhm.
now, I mean, that's a joke, because when a person, I'm like, okay, I already know that. And
Already
that's
know
not
that.
even being
It's not.
arrogant.
It's
That's
not.
just letting a person know you cannot manipulate
Right.
me. I am a
Right.
strong woman.
Right.
You cannot come at me any kind of
Right.
way. I'm not going to tolerate or accept anything.
Right.
And now that I have become healthy,
Mhm.
I look back, I don't know about you, I don't know about y'all listening, but when I look back at some of the people I entertained,
Yes.
I'm
Yes.
like,
Yes. Yes.
man, I was
Yes.
messed up in the
Yes.
head.
Yes.
Man, my
Yes.
self-esteem was jacked
Yes.
up.
Yes.
It's almost like embarrassing. Like, I
Mhm.
can't believe
Mhm.
that I messed with this
Right.
person. Not
Right.
saying that I'm better,
Mhm.
but I am better
Right.
because I knew better.
Right.
And
Right.
so when your self-esteem is so jacked up,
Mhm.
you have these blinders on, and you end up accepting things, tolerating
Yes.
things,
Yes.
entertaining things,
Yes.
just so somebody will just give you just a piece of attention,
Right.
because some attention is better than no attention.
Right.
What do you say to that?
I think that is powerful and true. And the problem is, when you're going through it, you don't realize it's an issue with your
Yeah.
self-esteem, that you're accepting anything. Because like you said, you're happy that you have this attention, and then you're feeling good because you have this man that, you can parade around with. But when you look at them, I understand now, as I've gotten more into the scriptures, about the whole being equally yoked.
Mm,
And a lot of people will say that we're talking down on men because we're saying you have to have a standard.
right.
But when you think about it, you have to have something equal. Otherwise, it's not going to work. It's going to be off
Mhm.
balance. And so when we lower ourselves to, I confess, I dated someone who was no car, no driver's license, couldn't get a license because he had warrants for his arrest. So I've done all that because I would be like listening to society. Well, I just need to give him a chance because he's a good man. Who's that? The good man. What's that? Waiting to hell. He's a good man.
A good man, Savannah.
He's a good man, Savannah. Give him a chance. But that is not someone who was equally for me. And so as I'm lowering myself, lowering my standards to be with someone like that, then it doesn't work, because eventually he is going, as a man, is going to start looking at me as him not feeling good enough. And so then what's going to happen is he's going to try to break me down, tear me down to elevate himself. So it's important that we recognize that we have to have a standard. My pastor talked about how it's important that you date based on your bank account. And, people might take that bad, but think about it. If we have made a certain level and we're used to a certain thing, then someone who wants to take us on a date to McDonald's, when we're used to going and having steak, it's not going to work in the long run, because they're not going to be able to keep us in the
Keep us
lifestyle
on.
we're accustomed, which means we would have to take up that slack. And then that's not going to work for a good man. That's not going to work for him if we're always taking up the slack for him. At least it shouldn't.
Right.
That's off balance.
Right.
And so Black women are always being told that we have to give a man a chance. No other community of women are told that they
Hell
need to
no.
accept a man who's not ready. Black women are supposed to be in struggle love. And I'm so happy that I see this younger generation, your generation and those under, who are not tolerating that. They're not tolerating struggle love. They recognize it's better to have their peace and wait until the right person comes. And I saw on TikTok on the way a bit this morning where a man was trying to berate a woman, talking about, well, that's why you're going to be alone. You need to lower your standard. And she's like, being alone is not a problem. It's a problem for men. Y'all are putting that on us because women have a community where we're never alone. Men don't really have that. So they need us. And they need us to believe the okey doke that if we don't lower ourselves and accept just anything, we're going to be alone. Like that's a bad thing. I'm happy in my peace. I'm happy in my
You look
house.
like it. One thing I've always admired about you is that you're very organized. You're very, listen, I got this at 2. If I hang out with you, I can only stay till 12. And you are to the T, almost military. Like, you're very disciplined. And that's a compliment. Very structured, very disciplined. To me, that's a person with boundaries, and everybody cannot handle that. Do you know, I had a student to say to my class that she only will date men that are married or in a relationship.
Mm.
And the class was stunned because I have a lot of students that are much older than me. And I said, well, why is that? And she said, and this was before class, and she said, because I know that if I am the mistress, then I'm going to get more love and I'm going to get more attention. And I know that whatever I ask him for, he's going to give it to me. And there were women in the class who sort of co-signed
Mm-hmm.
what she said,
Mm-hmm.
that it's better to date someone that is married, someone that is in a relationship, because you don't have to deal with the hassle of them 24/7, but they're going to treat you with love and care and concern because they know they're taking their anger out on their wife or their person. But to me, I think that's so sad.
It is.
And it's such a sign of low self-esteem
Yes.
that you are devaluing yourself
Yes.
to be number two.
Yes.
Because if he really loves you, he would make you the one
Right.
and only.
Right.
And
Right.
if he hated that woman so much, he wouldn't keep going home to
That's
that
right.
woman.
You're falling
And
for that
ladies, you
okie
gotta
doke.
stop letting men get in your head talking about, oh, I'm at home because of the kids. No, a child or children is not the reason to
Yes.
stay together.
Yes.
Because sometimes you can do your kids do your kids a favor
Mhm.
because you don't want to raise your child or your children in a hostile environment. And so what do you say to women who are content with being the side piece?
You know, I think it is sad because they have devalued themselves, and I believe that they're entitled to have a man that's just theirs. And I have to confess, in my younger years, I thought that too. I mean, I had some sickness in me that I had to heal from. Because think about it, if it's a clandestine relationship where you're sneaking around, then yeah, that time you're together, it feels like it's like
Heaven.
and it's not true. It's a lie, because no matter what the man says, he is with his wife.
Yeah.
In a state like Texas, where you don't even have to have a reason, you can file for divorce. If he wanted to, he could do it.
Yeah.
He knows that you are going to give him what he wants. He's going to tell you what you want to hear to make you feel like you are better than the wife, but you're not, because you are not the one he committed to. And so it's sad. And what can I say to women? Not really much. I mean, because they're not going to, until they're ready to recognize that there's some brokenness in them. And I didn't recognize there was brokenness in me until I had to be completely broken down, until you realize that no one can really say anything to you. I mean, we could talk to them, but I mean, hopefully they would listen, and I would share my stories, because I think it's helpful for me to be transparent for people to listen. But really, the realistic point is, while they're still stuck in that, they're going to believe that man who's making them feel like a princess when he comes and sees her every other time except for the holidays.
Oh, yeah. Listen, birthdays, Valentine's Day, Christmas, New Year's, every holiday that you're supposed to be with your significant other, they are with their wife, the
Right.
same person that they say they can't
hate.
stand,
Yep.
they don't want to be with anymore. That is a mind game, ladies,
Yes.
that they are playing with you.
Yes.
If they didn't want to be there, they wouldn't. And ladies, this is the thing. If they're cheating on their spouse with you, please don't think that they won't cheat on
Right.
you with
Right.
someone else,
Right.
because you reap what you sow. If
Absolutely.
you don't want it done it to you,
Absolutely.
don't do it to anyone else.
Absolutely.
So now that we are in the healing journey, you said that you have your good days and your bad days. We talked about that. Tell us, what does this journey look like for you, and how does the dating scene, I know you say you have no desire to be married before, you talked about that in the last show, but tell us, what does this new life look like now that the charges have been filed? I want to ask you first, was it difficult for you to file? And then tell us, how does this new life look?
It was very difficult, because at the time I still hadn't really been public about what happened to me. So it was difficult because I had it all on paper. Now, what was in the divorce proceeding is a sealed record. So even though I had the pictures of bruises, torn up houses, text messages, all the things that he was saying and doing in the divorce case, that was sealed so the public couldn't see it. This was going to be a public record where people were going to see everything that happened. And so even though I know that I was a victim, I didn't cause this to happen to me, I still felt shame that this was going to be public where people could see it. So I still had to work through that. And so working through it means that I'm talking and speaking my story. Every chance I get, I talk to women's groups, I talk to people I just talk about it because it's important now. And I recognize the importance of it.
Mm-hmm.
So, what is my life now? Like now, I have lots of peace. I'm very, very happy. People tell me that they can tell that
Yeah,
I
you
look
definitely
different,
can.
and so
You don't even look the same.
that's what I've been told. And I see some pictures from when I was with that man, and it looked like I was dead. And even
Mm.
my coordinator, who's been a friend of mine, we sang in the choir at Antioch together 20 something years ago. She said she could tell from the pictures that when we were together that my smile wasn't the same, that you could tell that something in my eyes and my face wasn't the same. And so now I have that peace. And last time I told you I did not ever want to be married again because I couldn't imagine um, falling
Well,
in
you said you
love.
could, but in different households.
And I'm still there
Uh-huh.
because I have worked so hard for my home to be a place of peace after it wasn't for so long, to where I am still open to possibly being married again, but I would like to have a visitation schedule like we have for kids. You
Oh
know,
no.
you can spend a couple of days here. I'll go to a couple of days at your house. And the rest of the time, we have our separate time where we can enjoy our peace. So that's where I still am. And,
You want to be married to a man that loves you and adore you, but you want to be on a visitation schedule.
I do. And you know what? There's couples who, I mean, when you're married, you should have your own understanding. You make what works for you. And I'm going to be 53. And so I've been
Wow.
on my own all this time. And I think um, we can do things that work for us.
Hmm.
And that's what's going to work for me right now. If it changes, it changes. I don't ever see that I would invite anyone into my home again on a full-time basis. So if I married and felt like I wanted to be in a home together, it would have to be another home.
What if he said, let's build a home with my name and your name on it?
I would have
You
to,
still keep your home.
I would definitely would have to keep my home. And that makes me, I'm starting to get all the anxiety.
Really? Well, we don't want that.
I
We
mean, it's
don't
like,
want-
ooh,
we don't want
anxiety
that. Yeah.
because, and I'm still healing
Oh, yeah.
and that's why I still have the anxiety because marriage can be beautiful. It
It
can be a
can.
beautiful thing. And that was my second marriage. I was married to Oliver's dad, and we are still good. We're still family. So this last marriage, it was so terrible that I am just afraid to be under someone's thumb
Oh,
again.
yeah. I get it.
And it didn't start out that way. And so you really don't know someone until you've been with them a long time and married to them.
Hmm.
And so it worries me that I would think that I'm choosing
Yeah.
the right person, and then something happens and a mask slips, and then here I am again. So
Yeah.
I'm dating, and we talked about boundaries earlier. And my boundaries are much better. It's funny because my friends who know me and know what I went through talk about my boundaries in my regular life, in my work life, or like you said, rigid, very
Hmm.
militant. But when it comes to my personal life, I didn't have those boundaries. And so I would let little things slide. And with anyone, if you let little things slide, they're going to keep pushing and keep
Hmm.
pushing and keep pushing. So the boundary that was here soon was just gone, completely gone. And that left me vulnerable to being hurt. So now my boundaries are such that I don't tolerate anything. If something, and I believe in having conversations, and hopefully, I mean, all I can do is put the information out there, and the person who I'm dating has to accept it or reject it. Like when you open the doors of the
Right.
church, is
Oh,
yours
yeah.
to accept or reject?
Oh, yeah.
I'm good either way. So if
Right.
they reject what I believe is for me, my boundaries, then I tell them that I thank you for the opportunity, but it's not going to work. And we
Hmm.
don't have to fall out over it. You go
Hmm.
your way, I'll go my way. We can still be cool, but we're not meant to be together.
Right.
And I'm
Right.
okay with that.
And
And so that's
yeah.
important to recognize it's okay not to be the pick me girl.
Hmm.
It's okay not to feel like you have to choose this person, even though they don't meet your standards, so that you don't feel like you have to fill up this hole of being alone.
Hmm.
That comes with healing.
Oh,
That comes
yeah.
with healing.
Oh, yeah. I love that. And so many of us need to hear it because, again, what you accept now sets the tone of what you
Yes.
will accept later.
Yes.
And like you said, men will test you just to see what they can get away with.
Mhm.
And you got to watch, ladies, when a man may throw a little jab at you and say, oh, I was just playing.
Right.
No, you wasn't
Right.
just playing.
Right.
How you
Right.
really feel about me is showing up in your jokes. You got to watch jokes from people.
Right.
And so I just think that that's so important. What do you think is going to, what is it that you want in a man?
Well, I think it's very important that he have his own personal relationship with Christ
Mm-hmm.
outside of me. I fell for the okie doke where the person started coming to church with me and was worshiping, and I thought that was a beautiful thing. He had the hands up praising, and as soon as he got me, stopped going to church. And the church became the enemy. Me getting up and going to church every day would be an argument. Why are you trying to go see that man in the pulpit? You need to stay here in the bed with your man. And so I realize now that it's important that I find someone that, and I have to not find, I don't have to find, I have to wait to be found.
Yeah,
And let
absolutely.
God do that. Because what we do and what I did, you make yourself believe that God is doing something because you want that person, you make them fit in what you believe God is saying. But if I sit back and just continue to be busy, enjoying my life, knowing that God is going to send me the right person at the right time,
Mm-hmm.
or if he doesn't, then that means I have other work to do within the church and the community that's still
That's good.
fulfilling. So, because not everybody's supposed to be married.
Mm-mm.
And we believe that women especially are told that by society that you're supposed to be married. But in the Bible, it talks about if you're not married, that means you can do more work for building the
Absolutely.
kingdom and also within the community. So I believe that I'm going to stay busy and wait for God to send me the right person who is a worshiper, who has a relationship with Christ, who will pray for me as hard as I'm praying for him already, who was
Mm-hmm.
already praying for God to show him that I'm supposed to be the one, who has his things together, that we're going to be equally yoked.
Mm-hmm.
So that way there won't be that balance issue, who I believe all that comes together. I'll be attracted to him because that's important,
Mm-hmm. Oh,
to
yeah.
be physically attracted. And who also gonna know that because that I have rededicated my life and I'm doing all these things, trying to walk the right path, that my body is wholesome, and that I am
That's
not going
good.
to be giving up my body, and especially for women because we feel that passion and we think it's love, and then we start seeing the red flags that we would see if we had our mind right because we kept our underwear on.
That's really, really,
So that
really
weeds out a
good.
lot of people right away.
Oh,
Right.
yeah. Because if a man loves you, values you, respects you, and wants you, they
Mhm.
will respect where you
Right.
are,
Right.
that you are living a wholesome
Right.
life. And we have equated sex to love. Sex
Yes.
don't mean love.
And especially for men,
Absolutely. A person can have sex with you and not feel
not a
nothing
thing.
and go on
Not a
like
thing.
nothing has
Right.
happened. And so we have to stop thinking that in order for this man to stay with me or love me,
Mhm.
that I have to have sex with that man.
Mhm.
No, that is not how this works.
Right.
So let me ask you this. As we are going on the road to recovery, healing, tell us what are some of the major red flags that you see and that women need to pay attention to?
I think the one thing that you talked about when they're making slide
Yeah.
jokes where because they're pushing you, they're testing you and see what they can get away with. If a man is doing that, saying things about you that are disrespectful and saying it was a joke, that shows you in the long run he's not going to respect you. He's going to
Mhm.
try to tear you down, which shows you that there's something in him that feels less than.
Mhm.
So that's a red flag. I watch carefully how someone speaks to me. Also, I expect clear communication. I expect you to make plans. Don't call me, send me the same text you're sending every woman in the morning.
Morning
Morning
beautiful.
beautiful. Yeah. Because I'm going to block you. When I get a morning beautiful text, I'm blocking
Yeah,
because you're
that
sending
turns
that to
me off.
everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah. And make plans. Don't be like, well, let's go hang out. Let's go Netflix and shit. No, no. If you're dating me, you're dating me. You need to make plans. Don't expect to say, what are you doing? What you doing today? Let's go meet here. No, you need to make plans and don't expect that I'm gonna be available to you just because you call me at 3 o'clock in the
Mhm.
afternoon and you expect me to be available to you at 7 o'clock that evening. No, you need to make plans because I'm not sitting here waiting for you. I'm
Mhm.
enjoying my life. And
Mhm.
a man who can't make plans shows he doesn't value me either. And
Mhm.
so then I have to block him as well. Um, Now, little things that bother me are this is going to sound bad. But I can't stand someone who can't use um, and there. That bothers me. That's a little thing. That's a little thing. That bothers me. And I will, I will talk to them about that. But that's like fingernails on the chalkboard. That's a little thing. That bothers me. Um, That does. It bothers me. I mean, think about it, because I use words every day.
Right.
And so it's not like I expect them to know legal terms or things like that, but the basic things that you learn in elementary school, I expect you, if you're going to be able to communicate with me, then you need to be able to communicate with me, because my life is about words. I'm speaking all the time. And so I enjoy having conversations. And so that gets back to another thing. I need to have someone who can have conversations on varied subjects. Someone who reads. If you're not reading, that's a red flag to me, because that means your mind is not being expanded. And reading to me means, you could be reading using Audible, because I listen to Audible books, but I think you need to read something and not just get your information from television
Or social media.
or social media. But yeah, the biggest red flag is definitely how they talk to you, um, if they're showing respect, and then also how they speak about their exes. If
That's
every
good.
ex was crazy, if you were done wrong by every ex, then that's a red flag to me. They're trying to get you on the bandwagon to trash their ex and think that you're going to be the pick me that's going to be higher than better than their ex. They're trying to start a competition, again, trying to get you to try out. So if they're bashing every ex, they don't have any accountability for why their relationships ended, then that's a red flag too.
I think one of the things that especially women we're guilty of is that when you first meet a person, you go on a date, we tell them our whole life story.
Yes.
And I think that people have to stop doing that.
Yes.
Call me crazy, call me old fashioned. I don't talk about when I was out there dating, I don't talk about anything that is dealing in my personal life. If children, anything like that, because I don't even know you.
Right.
You don't even know
Right.
me. I don't
Right.
even know if I'm gonna like you.
Right.
So if I don't even know if I'm gonna like you, why waste time telling you my whole life story? You don't need to know that about me.
Absolutely.
And so I think that we tell too much too soon. I think that you start having those real conversations when you realize, okay, I like this person likes me. It has the potential of going somewhere. But I think that we have to stop telling too much too soon, because one thing, and I don't know about you, but there are men out there and women that will use everything that you say against you when they get the opportune time.
Yes.
The moment that you get into an argument, everything that you told them, that's why your ex did you like
That's right.
this. Or
That's right.
this why your son father did you like this.
right.
And then it never fails. I've always been like, I knew that I should not have opened up my mouth and said anything. But in our minds, we're like, okay, I want them to know the real me. I want to be open and honest. But what do you think about telling too much too soon?
I think that's dangerous, and we do that as women, because we want to be seen. Again, we're trying to get picked. And so when we don't have any boundaries with our mouths, then we tell too much, to where it can be used against you. But what's scarier, they can use the information that you give them. You've given them a playbook, the cheat code. They can become that person or that thing that you say that you want, so that they can get you and manipulate you. So it's very important that you protect what's coming out your mouth, because again, you don't know them. And because society sets us to believe that we're supposed to be married, we go on a date and we're already thinking about the wedding.
Oh yeah. Oh my God.
And our friends are cheering us on. We are going and talking about the date and what he said and what he did, and we're already thinking that this is going to be something that is forever after the first date. After the first date, you still don't know this person, and you shouldn't take yourself off the market after the first date. Not even after the second or third date. You still have to take the chance to know somebody. And then when you are telling too much, we get in this fantasy that we're already in a relationship. So we built a relationship with this person who just thinks that they're just going and enjoying your company from time to time.
Oh yeah.
So that's the only way to protect our hearts is by us protecting what comes out of our mouths.
And you don't know if this person is a stalker. You don't know if this person is mentally ill. You tell them who your kids are, where they go to school at, where they are. I mean, you don't know if this person will try to do anything. But one thing is that we have also allowed society to put this timeline on our life of when we need to be married. And what the problem is that we have too many social media gurus
Mhm.
that everybody is like, okay, if a man ain't married you in 2 years, then that means he don't see you as wife material. Or
Mhm.
if she ain't said this, who made you the expert?
Right. Right.
Because everybody's life is different.
Mhm.
It could be a person has been together for 2 years. They want to marry you, you want to marry them. But it could be they're getting their life together financially
Mhm.
so they can be all they can be as a wife
Mhm.
or all they can be as a husband.
Mhm.
What do you say about timelines in relationships?
When it comes to timelines and relationships, it's based on that relationship and what the people want. If a woman is dating to be married and she has expressed that and they've talked about it, if he is not seeming to be someone who wants to be married, then at that point, the woman has to decide what her timeline is
Hmm.
and then remove herself if it doesn't work. You can't beat someone over the head to try to marry you, because
Absolutely.
if you get a shut up ring and he goes through with it, he's going to not
Resent you.
resent you the whole time,
Hmm.
and you're going to be in a marriage by yourself. You'll have the ring, but then you're going to be miserable. So if I would say, as for a woman and even for a man, if you want to be married and the person you're talking to is not wanting to be married, then it's important for you to move on for your sake. You have those boundaries. For me, when it comes to timelines, I would happily date someone for a long time, and I
Really?
would, because I'm not in any hurry to be married. Now, if the man, because I have dated some men who are like anxious to
Ready?
get
I
married.
know. Yeah.
And so I had to let them know that's not where I am. And one of them I dated, he really believed that he was going to change my mind, was planning engagements, had talked to the kids and everything. So I had to remove myself from that situation, because it's important that you communicate your expectations and what you want and what you don't want. But if that person doesn't respect that, then it's up to you to move from that. So there's no confusion, there's no problems.
Hmm.
So I don't believe that any person can really set a timeline for somebody else. It's important that we keep people out of our business when it comes, because they're not walking in your shoes. But you have to recognize, as the person in the relationship, what you want.
Hmm.
And if it's not fulfilling you, then you need to move on. And that's hard for women. Men will do that all the time. Men always choose themselves.
Oh, yeah.
I've been paying attention these last few years a whole lot about how men move through dating. And I've been mimicking that, because men will always choose themselves. They are not going to lower this. Even there was a thing on TikTok. This man who had been like 4 or 500, it was the balloon dating game. He had been like 500 pounds and talked about he wanted a woman who was not more than 175 pounds. And they're like, what? The audacity. But men will not lower their standards no matter how they look. So why are we accepting? We have to move the same way and choose ourselves first. It's not selfish to choose ourselves. Men will make you think it's selfish, but it's not. We need to choose ourselves and not be afraid of. Just walk boldly in that.
Absolutely. I love that. I love that. Have you ever thought about starting an organization for young girls? Have you ever thought about, taking your journey and doing a speaker series and talking to different people? Because your story, your life can really bless so many people.
I have not.
Yeah, you should.
I have not.
A book or
Uh-huh.
something. I mean, you went through this, you didn't go through this for nothing.
Mhm.
I believe that when we go through things, a lot of times it's not for us, it's
Mhm.
for to bless and help somebody else.
Mhm.
I think you should really pray on that, because this story can really bless so many people.
Mhm.
Now, let's flip the page for a moment and talk about something positive. So, you're seeking re-election.
Yes.
Congratulations.
Thank
We're
you.
so happy. You serve Dallas County so well, and you've been doing it for so many
Mhm.
years.
Mhm.
Tell us about your reelection and what inspired you to run again.
I decided to run initially because I'm in the juvenile courts.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I was a prosecutor in those courts, I saw so many brown and black boys who looked like my son. At that time, at 10 years old, you could be snatched from your home and locked up in a jail. But on the flip side, those who weren't melanated, who would do the same type of behavior, would be taken home. And so it really concerned me the thought that our babies could be locked up, think about what that does to them emotionally, to their soul, spiritually. And so I wanted to make a change to keep those babies out of the system. So as soon as I was elected, I started a diversion court that targets kids from 10 to 14. It
Mm-hmm.
diverts them from the criminal system into a community-based program. And they go through, they do community service, they learn about self-esteem, they learn about being a positive person. I have a whole community of people who works with them. And once they graduate from the program, they don't reoffend.
Mm-hmm.
And so that program's been very successful. And so I've expanded to bring in other people to work in the programs over these last 2 terms. And we're just going to keep doing that. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
think about it. They go a lot of times in the juvenile courts, that's their beginning of their criminal justice.
Mm-hmm.
Um, where they go start in the criminal justice system and then they graduate from the criminal courts in the juvenile system to the adult system. I'm trying to stop that right then and there. And
Mm-hmm.
what we see is it's a generational thing because a lot of uh, poverty affects criminal behavior, but also the fact that marginalized people don't have the same opportunities.
Right.
And so you have these kids in front of me who are from neighborhoods where you have to be in gangs because
Mm-hmm.
if you're not, you're going to die.
Mm-hmm.
You have to choose a side.
Mm-hmm.
There's not jobs. So a lot of times they are committing criminal behaviors so they can feed themselves, get school supplies, take care of their family. So those type of cases are what I look at to try to help divert that. But we have to work with the entire family. And so that's what we're doing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Now, I had one of my classes, my government classes, they did a debate on should juveniles be tried as adults. And I thought about you.
Mhm.
And one of the key points that the affirmative side talked about was juveniles a lot of times are unaware of what they, I mean, some, of course, some of them know what they're doing, but they talked about how their brains are not fully developed,
Mhm.
and that's why they should not be tried as adults. I know we can't go too far deep in,
Mhm.
but what do you say to that argument about juvenile brains are not fully developed?
That's absolutely true. Their brains are not fully developed, which is why we have so many juveniles before us. Well, there's 2 juvenile courts, district courts in Dallas County, mine, and the one I used to be a prosecutor in when I was starting my law journey. And unfortunately, lately there have been so many kids, juveniles between 10 and 16 who are committing murders, 11, 12, 13, 14 committing murders. And so the juvenile system is set up to deal with kids who are doing violent crimes. For, but when it comes to trying children as adults, those decisions are made by me and the other district judge. The state of Texas will say because of this behavior, it's so egregious that there's nothing we can do within the juvenile system. And usually those are the higher felonies. I had one kid that I made the news on a couple of years ago where he had been going around the country serial raping and killing people.
Mm.
Raping the women and then killing them, doing in front of their children, and so I think he killed about 4 or 5 people and raped dozens. And so I certified him because at that point, there's nothing I could see in the juvenile system where we could help him.
Mm-hmm.
So he needed to go to the adult system. For a juvenile to be certified in Texas, it has to happen. They have to be at least there's standards that we have, the type of crime, whether they have been under the juvenile department's supervision before, whether they have responded to supervision, whether they're living adults type of life, who they're hanging out with. So there's a lot of things that we consider. But even when we do certify them, it's done knowing that their brain is not fully functioned.
Mm-hmm.
And so I understand that. And that makes it difficult. But there's some times where it has to happen because we don't have the resources. And we have a lot
Mm-hmm.
because we can deal with kids who murder. We have those resources. But sometimes there's something special about this one juvenile that we can't do anything for. And at that point, we do need to certify them.
Mm-hmm. Why should Dallas County keep you in as juvenile judge?
I think I should stay in because I have made a lot of positive changes for the children in Dallas County, and I'm still learning.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still open to learning, to growing. I bring people in to collaborate with because I know I don't have all the answers. There's professionals who know more. Even we have more professionals on the psychological side who are doing more to help us make better decisions when it comes to the children who come before me. So I believe that have a track record where I've kept all the promises I made from when I started running in 2014, and I'm expanding on that by continuing to make sure that when kids and families come informed before me, that they leave better than when they came.
Wow.
Mm.
So, as we come to a close, you have been very transparent. And here's the beautiful thing about you is that most people your caliber don't share their testimony like this, because a lot of times we as professionals, we want people to see us in that light all the time. And we want people to look at us as pitch perfect. And so it's rewarding when you hear someone of your status that is vulnerable to share their testimony. What have you learned on this journey as you are running again for judge, as you've had someone to destroy your life, as you have been through so much, you've dealt with sicknesses, all of that type of stuff? What have you learned about yourself, and what would you have said to yourself 10 years ago if you knew then what you know now?
I would not tell myself anything different because I believe that everything I went through was necessary, even if it was painful. It was necessary to get me where I am right now. Because if I had warned my past self to go to the left or go to the right, I wouldn't have experienced these things, which helped me grow. Because a lot of times for us to grow the best, we have to go through some tragedy. We have to have some pressure, like diamonds. Diamonds are pressure. You go through that pressure in the ground and it comes out refined as a diamond. So I wouldn't say anything different. I wouldn't give myself any heads up. I would just continue going. And what I've learned is that I'm stronger than I thought. I definitely learned that. I've also learned that there's people that are surrounding me who actually love and care for me, not
Absolutely.
because what I can do for them, but because of who I am. And so I take comfort in that, knowing that no matter what goes on, and things are going to be difficult, we're going to have times. The last couple of weeks at work have been very difficult. And I called out to God. I was praying and crying and everything. No, but knowing that God has brought me through before.
Yeah.
And he's shown me that he's done this before and he's done it for other people before. So he's done it for me before and other people before. I know that he's going to keep his hands on me. So that's what I've learned. To just keep on moving. Sometimes it seems like you don't want to. Sometimes it seems like everything's going wrong. But as long as you keep waking up, it's another day to make it better.
What have you learned about yourself as a woman and a judge?
As a woman, that it's okay to recognize that not everybody is for me, that I don't have to feel like I have to be in this chase to have someone just to have someone so I can be on social media showing I have someone, smiling fake smiles and
That's
being
good.
miserable in private. So that's what I've learned as a woman. As a judge, I've learned that it's important for me to continue to listen to the stories that come before me, because I hear the worst things. I deal with kids, whether it's the juvenile side or the child welfare side. And even on the child welfare side, when I have to terminate the parent-child relationship because the parent has done something that's in danger to the child, I still feel it's important that I listen to their story so they feel heard, even if they're not getting their child back.
Right.
So it's important as a judge to listen to the stories that people come and tell, even if I'm not going to rule in their favor.
That's good. That's so good. I see so much growth in you, and I just see you look totally different than what you did last year. You had this heaviness
Yes.
on you,
Yes.
but it just feels lighter. Do you still live in fear?
Since the charges have been filed and I have not heard anything, there's less fear. But when I hear that people see this person throughout the neighborhoods where I live, that causes me concern. But I'm not in fear of myself anymore because I've consistently gone to the range.
Oh.
And I carry my weapon all the time. My biggest fear is for something to happen and my son to find him. And my goal is to keep my son out of jail. That is my biggest fear, is that my son actually finds him somewhere and takes out all his anger and pain on him.
So this person hasn't sent any more threats to you.
Not
They
anymore.
haven't. DM'd you or
Not
anything
anymore.
like
It's been
that?
completely signed. He has, I mean, there was a restraining order that he violated, but there's bond conditions. So if he violates the bond by contacting me, he'll be in jail.
Wow,
Yeah.
wow. Did you feel bad when you found out that this person had been served and
No, I felt it needed to happen. I
mhm,
felt bad when I was actually doing the affidavits and at the police station and crying and everything. I felt bad, but not for him. I felt bad for me because this was all going to be going public and I was
mhm.
still dealing with the shame I felt. But I didn't do this to him. He did it to himself.
Yeah.
And so, like my son tells me when I try to go outside in the heat with no water to, to work in my garden, he has to deal with the circumstances that he chose. He chose to do these things to me, even though there was an order saying that he's not supposed to have any contact with me. He did it. And so he has to deal with those circumstances.
Absolutely. That's really good. This has been such a delight, and you're always welcome back on Jesus and Justice, and you will be back.
I hope so. I enjoy it
Before
here.
the election, I mean, you have such great story, energy. Your spirit is so beautiful. I want you to have the last word. I mean, there's a camera. Look into that camera, and you just minister to any woman or man or whoever the Lord puts on your heart. Go forth.
You know what? You can make it. No matter what you're going through, you can make it. Don't feel bad because you've made decisions that you feel have caused you to be in circumstances that are not ideal. We all do it. We're human. We've all fallen short since Adam and Eve in the garden. Just keep on moving forward. This is a faith walk. Just keep one step in front of the other, and you're going to make it.
Amen. You are going to make it. Well, thank you so much, Judge Martin. God bless you. Well, ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. What an amazing show today. If this show has been a blessing to you, make sure that you give only if the Lord puts it on your heart. $ Jesus and Justice, all one word, no pressure at all. And we're doing something a little bit different on Jesus and Justice with Dr. Tiff. I'm coming to you 3 days a week instead of 1 day a week. Join me every Tuesday at 6 a.m. Central Standard Time for Jesus and Justice with Dr. Tiff Prayer Call. We have a wonderful time in the Lord, and I'm so grateful and thankful that every week it is growing. So make sure that you tune in every Tuesday at 6 a.m. Central Standard Time. And on Thursdays, we are now having TIFF Talk Thursdays. And make sure that you tune in every Thursday at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time for TIFF Talk Thursdays. And on Saturdays, of course, at 4 p.m. Central Standard Time, we have Jesus and Justice with Dr. Tiff. Make sure that you follow me on Facebook at Dr. Tiffany M. Lloyds, Instagram at tiffany.m.lloyds, and YouTube at Jesus and Justice with Dr. Tiff. I am so excited about all the wonderful things that God is doing in my life, and I'm so excited about all of the wonderful things that God is doing in your life. Remember, who you are is God's gift to you, but what you become is your gift to God. May God bless you, is my prayer. Ladies and gentlemen, hi, I am Dr. Tiffany M. Lloyds, but you can call me Dr. Tiff. I am the host of Jesus and Justice with Dr. Tiff. My show unpacks societal issues aligning with the teachings of Jesus Christ. In the words of the late Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., our lives begin to end the day we become silent about things that matter. Follow me on Facebook at Dr. Tiffany M. Lloyd, Instagram at tiffany.m.lloyds, and YouTube at Jesus and Justice with Dr. Tiff. And remember, yes, I'm advocating for you, I'm speaking for you, and I'm fighting with you. Join me every Saturday at 4 p.m. Central Standard Time on the V Network TV, Jesus and Justice with Dr. Tiff.